Okay, you ready?
This is Jacob Jack
George.
Alright, I am starting now.
Okay, so what year was it when you started sailing?
When I started sailing, or when I started sailing on that particular boat?
On that boat.
1953. I'd been on that boat before, but that was the first time I got a chance to take a trip to the mainland. So that was 1953 in the summer.
What was the captain of your ship?
The captain was my grandfather. His name was the same as mine, George Pauls.
Okay. Did your ship have a name?
Annie Laurie.
Okay then. What were you doing?
Well, really, it was just a trip for me, like to be able to see the mainland, see you know, some of Canada. But I mean, I was only 11 years old, so I didn't have a whole lot of jobs. I was supposed to help take turns steering the ship sometimes. Probably helping to cook a little bit and keeping everything neat and tidy on the deck and stuff. We had there was pumps on the deck for pumping water to the bilges, and I had to take a turn at that, pumping the water, and being seasick.
How much crew was there?
4. It was my grandfather was the captain, my dad, I guess you could call him a mate, a guy by the name of John Yarn, that was the cook, and myself. And John Yarn wasn't very old, he was only about 18 years old. It was his first trip also. And he wasn't a great cook either. The food wasn't all that great. We had to put a lot of ketchup on to get it to taste good. Anyway.
Okay.
Now what?
Story from start to finish.
What's the story from start to finish?
The story? You mean you want me to repeat it all?
Yeah.
Well, I wrote it all down. Well, let's see, like I'm not sure what the date was, but it was in 1953. It was in the summer. We left our hometown to sail to North Sydney to get a load of coal. Because they used coal in those days to fuel the houses down there, okay? Because there wasn't a lot of wood in Newfoundland, not hardwood. And we sailed from my hometown to North Sydney. It took us, I'm guessing, between 2 and 3 days, probably more like 3 days to go there, because these boats didn't travel very fast. And when as a matter of fact, when we were going up the coast, there was some little, we call them pothead whales. They were a whale about the size of a cow, you know, in weight. And they'd follow the boat, they'd up and down like a porpoise. They were kind of cute to watch. And we got in North Sydney, like I had been seasick. It felt terrible. And when we got in North Sydney, as a matter of fact, we got in at night, and we could see the lights, you know, from the mainland when we started coming in. And as the water calmed down, my seasickness quit, and I felt good, and I felt hungry. And we spent about probably a couple of days in North Sydney. We had to line, the boats had to line up there at the coal docks to get coal. You know, you'd go in. It was like a kind of a, what would I say, like a loop, where you went in, you know, like this, around, and up here was where they loaded the coal. And I think it was up at the bottom here of that loop, when the tide was down, that probably the hull on the ship we were on must have scraped bottom and probably what you would call spraying the oakum. And oakum was something that you caulked the seams with, and it probably was rubbed on bottom. It might have kind of fractured that a little bit. And then when we got the load of coal on, after we left out in the water where the ship's going up and down pounding away, it probably pushed the oakum out, and that's when we sprung a leak. And of course it was hard to find the leak because the hull was loaded in coal. So between my dad and and the cook, and my grandfather too, they were trying to locate the leak, and the water came up in the engine room, so we couldn't run the engines. And now those engines weren't big engines, they were 2 10-horse gasoline engines, make and break engines they used to call them. And when the water came up so far, the flywheels, when they turned around, would be throwing water everywhere. So when they got the water down enough, we could start the engines, but then the water would come up again. And the pumps weren't really keeping the water back. So when they finally found the leak, it was coming in at a pretty good gush. We couldn't control it. So that's when we decided that we would abandon the ship. And that's what we did. We had an 11-foot dory, That's like, you know what a dory looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we climbed into it, and we had to stay there until the ship sunk, because that's marine law. You can't just leave a ship floating. And about 20 minutes after we climbed in the dory of the ship, it kind of tipped down on its side, so the cross trees are right up on top of the mast. The cross trees just dipped the water, and then it comes straight back up and tipped up like that and went down stern first. Usually they always show them going down by the bow way, but this thing tipped up the other way and went down. And that was it. We looked, all of a sudden there's no ship, it's gone. Of course there's about 600 fathoms of water out there, and that's a lot of water for it sinking. And a fathom is 6 feet, so 6 times, yeah, 3,600 feet roughly. And we got in the dory, and we had 2 sets of oars, and I think we had about 2 jars of water. We had some molasses in jars, and that's the only thing we had. We dumped the molasses out and poured water in the jars, so the water had a sweet taste, like molasses. We also had a a case of carnation milk, which when we ran out of water, we started drinking that stuff. That wasn't the greatest tasting stuff in the world. And we had a pail, a bucket, and we had some gasoline. So what we would do, we had a little kettle. We would dip some water out of the ocean, put about that much water in the bucket, and pour a little gasoline on top of the water, and throw a match in it that would light, and then just hang the kettle over the bucket, and it would make the kettle boil, and we'd make tea. And I don't know what we had to eat. Some bread, I don't know, maybe a few canned things, not a whole lot. So anyway, that was Sunday, and the waves were just really high. The dory would go right up on top of the wave, and you look way down in the bottom, and then she'd go down, dip down the other side. You think she's going to go right on down through, and then she'd come up again and down again. So that was all day Sunday, and Monday morning there was a ship went by us. It was quite foggy. The ship was out quite a ways. And we thought we were getting fairly close to land, so we had some flares, but we didn't signal the ship because we thought, if a ship picks you up, you're in distress. The ship goes wherever it's going to go, you sail with it. If the ship, say, for instance, was on its way to Spain or Portugal, then you would be going to Spain or Portugal whether you wanted to or not. So that was the idea, but we didn't. So Tuesday morning, Monday afternoon, late Monday afternoon, we could hear a foghorn. Okay? And we didn't have a code for the foghorns. We had codes, but we didn't have them on the boat. We lost them. And what the code means is foghorns have different toots. Like for instance, one foghorn might make 2 long blasts and one slow, and another one might make 3 long blasts and another one slow, and so on and so forth.
Then it might make like some.
Yeah, it's just a code. So I mean, if you got the code name, well, okay, well, 2 long and 2 short is such and such, and 3 long and 4 short is something else. And we thought it was Codway Valley we were hearing the horn, but it wasn't. It was Cape Ray. And as the evening went on, of course, by that time, my dad and John, the cook, they hadn't had any sleep for about 48 hours because we loaded the boat on a Friday night. They were up all night. We left Saturday night, and they were up all night because those old boats with the engines, on long runs, the engine would run a bit and stop. He doesn't go down and start it up again. They start right up and then it run a bit and stop. So, you know. So by Tuesday afternoon, John was getting a little bit delirious, so from lack of sleep. And he lost one of the oars overboard, which, you know, was a bit of a calamity because we needed the oars. But so it kind of made him go to sleep. Now my grandfather couldn't row because my grandfather only had one hand. He had his right hand off below his elbow. So when the wind was just the right way, we could stick 2 oars up on the side, and we had an old gray blanket we could tie onto the oars, you know, and he could steer from the back, like put an oar over the back and steer, so he could do that. And other than that, they rowed. So by Monday night, my dad was getting kind of half hallucinating too from not having enough sleep. I was just up in the bow of the dory. I mean, they wouldn't let me row because I didn't think I was big enough to be rowing, at least I probably wouldn't. And of course there was about that much water in the bottom, so I'm kind of hunkered down in this water. So anyway, Tuesday morning, we could still hear the foghorn, and it was getting closer and closer and closer. What would happen, like through the night? We would hear the foghorn, it would sound fairly close, and then all of a sudden, it would sound quite a ways away. Because there was tide coming out, and the tide was pushing us back. We'd roll, and then the tide would drift us back again. So when the fog finally cleared a little bit, we could see the land at Cape Way, and that was ground. And there was a whole bunch of rocks all around, sticking out of the water all over the place, behind us and in front and everything else. I don't know how we came through them without hitting the rocks. And there were some fishermen coming out in their boats, and they seen us, and they must have knew that, you know, that we were in distress, so they come over and picked us up and towed us into the shore. And of course, everybody in the little village of Cape Ray was out there to take in the scenery. This was a kind of a spectacular thing. So some of the people took us into their homes and fed us, and we could get washed up and let us have a sleep. And then we got up in the afternoon, and we drove a guy at a half-ton truck, and he drove us to Port Bass. Port Bass was like the, you know where Port Bass is?
Yeah.
It was like the terminal for the ferry going across, and the terminal for the coastal boats that went up and down the coast. So we went to Port Bass, we stayed in a boarding house for about 2 days, and we waited for the coastal boat that used to travel the south coast, because at that time there was no roads down through there. And we got on the coastal boat and went home. And that was about the end of the story. Good adventure.